G'day, this is Aniso from Crema and Grind podcast, and today we have Aaron here, awesome barista and all-around cool guy. He's heading off to do a meditation, so today we're looking into the meditation techniques that he's going to learn as he's off for a 10-day session.
Yeah, course, session,
Yeah.
retreat.
Oh, yeah, it's a bit more than a session, isn't it?
Well, just a long session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what sort of made you get into, what made you go into meditation or think about that? When did that sort of start?
Specifically like this course, the Vipassana, or
No, sort of like
in general?
in general when you sort of started, like was there anything that sort of motivated you to get into it or?
Yeah, it's an interesting answer actually. That's an interesting first question because it has an interesting answer.
Yeah.
In short, LSD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Bam.
Yeah,
Bam.
bam. Oof, just get
Can we
straight
throw
into
down
it.
LSD?
Get straight into it.
Not even a minute in.
Yeah. Well, maybe even before that. Maybe it was because, like I was saying before, I grew up quite religious with very religious, spiritual parents. I was very, I was very involved, very deep into it. I took it very seriously. Would study the Bible and things like that. They were Christians, Pentecostal Christians.
So when was that, from like when you were a child all the way through?
Yeah, all the way from earliest memories to they split up when I was probably about 12.
Yeah.
And then mum also had a religious husband after that. And so, even though that kind of put me off religion, I suppose, even though I probably wasn't consciously aware of that, it got me really interested in the big questions really that sort of get answered generally by philosophy and science. So, what are we? What is reality? What's the nature of reality and the mind and the self? And I took it all pretty seriously. And then, got a belly full of it and got kind of sick, as you can when you get, when there's especially a topic which has endless arguing and debate with almost everybody you raise it with. And then also, some heavy thinking and heavy reading, which sort of sometimes gets you a bit down around the mouth. And so I was a bit over it all and was just partying, like when I was probably around, like 19, 20. And I was just pretty, just kind of stick at everything, but open minded at the same time, like open for what more there could be. And then one night where we got on some LSD, just because we'd seen it in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and thought, that'd be cool.
Yeah, let's give that a go.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was in the vein of sort of fun we're having at the time.
Yeah.
And still, like, we just completely didn't take it in the right setting. Maybe the right, like, mental state, which was, let's just see what happens, which is probably the best sort of state of mind to be in. But we all have very different reactions, me, my brother, and my friend. Completely different reactions. My brother had a tab and he was just pretty overwhelmed and he just wanted to go home.
Yeah.
And my other mate got a little bit drunk first and then double dropped to kick things off, and he did not go well.
No, doesn't sound like it.
Oh,
mixing both.
He had a completely opposite reaction. I mean, he found everything completely disgusting and appalling and was just horrified. And I just thought everything was so beautiful. Like I was just, even just being at the casino, just looking out at the balcony, like, and looking at the all the trees and the stars, as if there was they were just they weren't the backdrop anymore. They were compelling and rich and alive, and I was just in this flow state as well. I just wasn't thinking in words.
Yeah,
and I just thought it was just such a fucking relief.
Yeah,
to not have that constant dialogue, that the ego talking in your head, if that's what you want to think of it or call it. And it was just such a sweet fucking relief to not think.
Yeah.
And to just be in the present, which was all of a sudden alive and beautiful, and even like kind of in a certain sense kind of feels magical, and there's lots of potential. And then the next day I was kind of still in this state of mind, like, and then, the weeks and months after, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was like, man, that sounds like a lot what they talk about in Zen meditation. And I was like, oh, what's that? Because I was completely not,
How old were you then? When
20, 21.
21.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe about that.
Yeah.
So I got it pretty open. I probably previously all that stuff sounded pretty nonsensical and not very interesting to me. But then now when they're talking about selflessness and being in the present and things like that, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of get that. That's like kind of what that was. And they're talking about doing it in a more, responsible and sustainable way than dropping 6 tabs at the casino.
Yeah, exactly. Getting sick.
Yeah. So yeah, it got me interested in it. And then after that, I think I read a book called Everyday, a very good book I think it's called Everyday Zen.
Yeah.
By Charlotte Yoko Beck or something like that. I think that's his name. I haven't read it for years. It was very just common sense book. I just really liked that things like what they would talk about in Buddhism and stuff like that would just, and Taoism would start to make sense now. Be like, oh, it's kind of like those experiences, you know. But
it was like a sharp distinction, I guess, from religion to LSD, then meditation, when you had, I guess, the philosophy of like Christianity, and now you changed and then looked into the meditation. Was there some sort of correlation, or that certain answers you were looking for between the both, or was it just the LSD that sort of enlightened the whole lot, and then you went down the meditation path?
Like psychedelics, they give basically like raised awareness or consciousness. Like they turn the volume of consciousness up. So, they have the potential for you to have enlightening experiences or, deep experiences if that's sort of where you're like at that moment in your life. But sometimes, it's a horrible experience and it's been a hellish experience. If you go into if parts of your mind are being manifested to you, especially volume cranked up, that you just don't want to particularly confront or accept.
Yeah, I guess that's where the meditation, that training and training your mind.
Yeah, there's definitely a link. I think the link between religion and psychedelics and meditation, the link between the three was that it seemed to me like, during these experiences, like these peak experiences, they seem pretty fairly common for all people. It's fairly just a human thing. Like, I'm not special. Probably the opposite, or maybe a little bit special in one.
Oh, definitely special, mate. There's no denying.
Don't want to be, but I think the connection was in religion. You're talking about these experiences a lot and building belief systems and ideas and ideologies and thought structures based around these experiences, but it's not the experience itself.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes on psychedelics, like I said, it's not always guaranteed, but if you use it in the correct way and you also use meditation simultaneously, you can have these really amazing experiences where you have a lot of insight into your own mind, who you are, what's been going on unconsciously that you haven't been aware of, and, you sort of question sort of the belief systems in society in general, and you can look at things a bit fresh and get a different perspective on things.
Yeah.
So I think the connection would be you can potentially have these experiences meditating and using psychedelics, like using them in a responsible fashion, like they do in a lot of traditions, like ayahuasca.
Yeah.
In the Amazon or San Pedro and the Andes, all those in those traditions, they're using a psychedelic chemical, like with a
I think I saw a panther having an ayahuasca as a leaf.
Yeah.
Just grabbed and started chewing it, and then just chilling out.
Yeah.
And that was incredible. It knew what it did, and it found it. And then it would start chewing and have this obviously an effect.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
Yeah, it is.
I was like, it's trying to find. I'm gonna get high today. It's a Friday night. I'm gonna chill out the Amazon with myself tonight. No family.
Me time, roll around on the floor.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. I've started to think about the meditation. Obviously, I've got an app, but oh god damn, I've left the app. It's saying Headspace quote. Here we go. Yeah. I just thought that it's something that was quite difficult to put in place every day.
Yeah, I struggle with discipline.
That routine is something that I'm still looking to do, but I think I'm going to try and use it as like a workout for the mind now, just to freshen the mind, clear out anything that's in there, and strengthen it like going to the gym. So instead of going to like just using an app and sitting down for 10, 20 minutes, and there's so many variations, or you could listen to a guided meditation, you could do chants, much like yourself where you're going to do that 10-day course. I thought it'd be cool to go to like a meditation class, like you go to a gym, and then just go there around people. So then it's like going for a workout, but for the mind.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there you might get a different taste, different understanding. You might be more committed, and then hopefully take that into a sort of like a daily routine, and then see the benefits that can produce long term. But so that's what I started to think about it and look into. But yeah, I was just thinking the apps are good to, I guess, get started. But I think you have to find a certain type, whatever you need, and what you're doing is pretty big. So what type of meditation is it that you're doing at the moment, or that you're going to be doing?
It's called Vipassana.
Yeah. Indian style, is it?
Yeah, everything originally comes from India, but it is supposed to be Buddhist.
Yeah.
Which is also Indian, but sort of,
Yeah.
Several things that you said then that it's interesting. Yeah, like apps and things, they can help and guide a meditation. You got to find one you like. Like Sam Harris's app. That's good. Or like go into the, I can do all the push-ups I want at home, and I don't really. I only do it when I pay to go to kickboxing.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I get what you mean with that as well.
Yeah.
But also so I kind of got into meditation because of these experiences and the peak experiences, and I really was interested in that.
Yeah.
And probably still am to a certain degree, but a different like the way I view it and what I'm looking for now is a bit different. I'm not really after those experiences, even though I love it.
Yeah.
But I've kind of seen as well that in myself looking for that experience without doing what you're talking about, which is just using like meditation as an exercise for your self-control, your mood regulation, controlling your emotions and being self-aware and all that is probably way more important, really. Well, is way more practical and relevant to how you relate to other people.
Yeah.
And it is a really important aspect of it. Yeah. It's just the everyday aspect of, having that equanimity to sort of not lash out in irritation or not retreat in and things like that, but just to be more even. And
yeah, because you don't necessarily do a lot of work on your. You do a bit of reading, and then you're chasing around. You're exercising, or there's always like times in your life where you're either doing too much of something, not enough of something else, just to get that balance. I don't even know if it's possible, but I think to obviously to look and go, okay, well, I think I heard something fairly recently. It was just like, well, when do you work out your mind?
Yeah.
And it's so important. And I was like, I should probably thinking more into that instead of just like, okay, I've done my 10-minute relaxation. I can look at me. I've done my meditation. I'm good to go. And then someone cuts you off when you're driving, and you're like, "Arr,
yeah,
it didn't work. I didn't focus enough."
Well, that's it. We're all just,
But you're human, beings. So you can't be this floating saint spirit roaming around.
Exactly right.
Beautifully calm, and
some people manage to do that pretty decently with the whole life.
Yeah.
Of intention and concentration behind it. But that's not generally me.
Yeah. Well, it'll take certainly will take a bit of training.
It takes all sorts in this world as well. I can't think. Maybe we're not all supposed to be floating around like saints.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah. You need to let it out. That's where the other training helps.
But I've I've gone to one of these before about 3 years ago, and I didn't really keep up with the disciplined meditation afterwards for a long time.
How long was that session?
10 days, yeah.
So you did 10 days on that one?
Yeah. And coming out the other side, definitely wasn't a saint. I wasn't much of a different person. I would,
Did you get any other clarity of the mind, or did you go? Is it a purpose? Did you have a purpose going in?
I kind of did, yeah.
And then coming out, you thought, I've just missed out on all my fun stuff, and I'm gonna get back to it.
Yeah, a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I had some questions about what I was going to do in my life and the relationship was at the time.
Yeah.
But what I found surprising was there was some stuff that I become aware of that I wasn't sort of aware that was going on. Some things that sort of come up I was a bit unconscious of before, I guess, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Like anger. At events or people in my life, and realizing that was in there somewhere, and I wasn't even really aware of it, and being like, oh shit, and it's not in a certain sense that you figure it out and in some sort of eureka moment, but when you sort of just notice these things, and then you don't really talk, it's a silent meditation, but you can talk to the instructors, and went to the instructor. I think I just talked to them once in the 10 days, once about the pain in my knees, which I might try to bring a chair this time. And also about this, just struggling with this sort of, all this uncomfortable anger and hurt, like as well. Not like, when you hurt and you're angry at the same time. Yeah. And then she's like, oh yeah, where do you feel that emotion? And I was like, oh, my throat, my chest, my stomach, shoulders. And she's like, good, just go experience that. Just go feel it. And you're like, what? And you're kind of thinking there's some solution or insight or whatever, but that's when you just sort of, when you feel it and you just let it happen, then afterwards you're like, oh, okay. You release it a little bit, I guess. Yeah. And then afterwards you're not so emotional about it. You're more just like, it's part of your story, and just like, oh yeah.
Yeah. What was the type of like routine like when you were there? What was this? So you get up, breakfast, meditate, any yoga or chill out time?
No, it was because it's strict. They're a little bit strict. They're a little bit religious, but they're doing a good thing. They're not, I think has good results, does people good.
Sort of, yeah. I
but
guess
they're very, very strict, and they have a very strict timetable and rules and stuff. So there's no talking to other people. There's no reading or writing. There's no music. There's no TV.
So no mobile action, no social media.
No
stories.
Not even any chatting.
Can you call out?
No, you can't unless there's an emergency or something. But they take your phone away, or you give them your phone.
Yeah. That would be quite tough for everyone, especially now.
It is, because we're addicted to it. I know I am. I know I've got a problem with being distracted. And constantly needing stimulation. Yeah.
Just it's always next to you.
Yeah.
The phone's always kind of next to you. Check what's going on. Or do I need to do this? Do I look at that? Or I'll research this, or catch up with a friend, or whatever. So yeah, it's like our own personal assistant now.
Yeah.
It gives us everything.
It's like this sort of weird extension of ourselves. Yeah. Like a little electronic mini-me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it finds out all your truths, all the things you like and
they knows more about you than your family does,
Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. I mean, they take that away, then obviously you're going to feel that void. But I guess, it will make you force yourself into, I guess, focusing for that amount of time and removing the problems around what's going on. And yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think like you're saying, the timetable, what you do every day, you get up, there's a bell, they wake up like 4:30 or something. Yeah. And you're supposed to meditate in your room by yourself for an hour or a half or so. You might doze off a little bit. And then I think it was like this, there's meditation in the hall all together for like an hour. Then you go breakfast and they give you have a big brekkie because it's your biggest meal of the day and it's all vegetarian. And then you go have a little half-hour walk. Then you go meditate in your room. Then you go meditate in the hall. Then you go have lunch. It's all vegetarian. And then you go for a little walk around the grounds, you meditate in your room, then you'll meditate in the hall. And there's like just a little bit of fruit for dinner. And then you end up sort of meditating, and then you end up watching a lecture, or pretty much a lecture, I suppose you'd call it, for 45 to an hour in the evening of the founder of the course and institution or whatever. I think he's originally from Burma or Myanmar or whatever it is. Yeah, I think so. Goenka, his name is Goenka. Anyway, he has some sort of philosophical sort of discussions based on Buddhist philosophy, and then you go to bed like 9:30 or something, and you just do it all over again for just 10 days. And for the first 3 days, what they get you to do is just focus on your breath going in out of your nose. That's what you do for 3 days until you develop concentration. Then you start like taking that awareness all around your body, just on your bodily sensations, And the whole idea of it all is, a little bit more than I could probably set out in my own words, but the whole idea of it all is that we're always we're running towards things we find attractive or pleasurable that we want. We're always running away or reacting against things that we don't like. And we're sort of just being blown all the way around our lives like that. And it's sort of about developing equanimity, just not being so lurched back and forward by desire and the opposite of it. What would you like? Apprehension. You don't want something. So it's just sort of being more balanced in that respect, and not being lost in thought, always lost in thinking, but sort of being more aware of the actual reality of the situation.
And take yourself out of it.
And the sort of the more deep philosophical stuff, like there being no self and all that, something isn't really the focus of it. It's more about just being a level decent person, just being a decent human and not harming others or yourself through your own ignorance. So it's about sort of just overcoming ignorance and just being aware of reality. Which is not the same thing as being lost in thought, which is what we usually are.
Oh, definitely.
It's what I usually am. I'm very aware of the fact that, and I have trouble meditating at home, to be honest, at the moment. Like I'm just up again.
I can seem to get
last maybe like 5-10 minutes every few days, but maybe I just need maybe it's just I need to just man up and get some self-control and some discipline. But
that will definitely do that 10-day course.
To do that. I hope so. I hope I come back and I have
implement.
I keep up with it. Yeah, I implement it. I put it into action. I guess stay fit, so to speak.
I guess by doing that might have like a ripple effect with people around you. Like you've done the 10-day, you could come out and then someone next to you could just think, oh wow, that sounds so good, or you feel so calm and relaxed, or you deal things better. Then they may look into it or something. So I guess that's an interesting concept and how that can grow. And even when you mentioned it, I was just thinking, I think now is a good time to implement that even for myself. And go from there. So I think that's fantastic. I don't know how 10 days though. That's I think a weekend I could do that. A weekend
once you do
the
10 days is like an introductory course, and then you can do 3-day courses and whatnot with them. But there's all kinds of different
I think I was one on
techniques and
I looked at one. I think it's in August or something. Mermaid or something. There's another course I forgot what that one was. Vedic maybe. Vedic meditation.
I don't really get too much into any one kind, but transcendental meditation is pretty good. Just like short meditations, and just general mindfulness is good. Just being aware of the present and all that's going on.
I'll just grab the phone. I'll turn that off. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all it doesn't need to be too. Some of them focus on going like within. And it's more like transcendental meditation stuff. They focus on going within. Some of them more focus on what's going on around you. But they're generally all just based on being in the present. As far as I can tell.
Yeah, because I like to, get into the meditation side of it, mix it in with the workouts and hobbies, and then have it all sort of simmering in a pot together, and then seeing how how the body and mind reacts and grows and and how you feel and so I think that's it's quite awesome, but still can't get over the 10 days though.
Yeah, it was pretty difficult.
Breathing's another one, obviously too. Like
yeah.
Well, you got
to be aware of your breathing in order to regulate it, I guess, which is the first thing. But it was difficult. It was really hard for me last time. I tend to be very moody and have a bit of problems regulating my emotions, and sort of have for a long time. It's a bit of an ongoing thing I'm aware of. So
well, it's good that you kind of see it and looking into it via meditation and
about it. Yeah,
I think all of us have. All of us can improve in some area.
Yeah,
and dealing with things.
Well, yeah, I mean the quality of your mind and is it involved in everything that you do?
Yeah,
even like down to your job, your relationships, the quality of the health of your own mind is really gonna be probably the most important factor in what's going on in all of those situations.
Yeah.
So sort of getting to the root cause of a lot of things. I'm hoping that it'll improve my relationship, with my girlfriend, and communicating with her and staying, calm and not getting, frustrated and angry and not saying things that you don't really mean, but being more measured and all of that is meditation is going to have a positive impact on all of that, I'm sure. So it's just going to help with a lot of things.
Yeah, decision making, absolutely.
Yeah, decision making, being aware of what you want to do in the future, even though it's more based
take the clutter out.
Present,
take the clutter out.
Yeah, it's not really. Yeah, it's just taking a lot of things away, taking distractions away. Addictions. Just taking away all those things that are. It's not so much building anything more up. It's just taking everything away that you don't need.
Yeah. Oh, that's an amazing thing. So what?
See what happens.
Yeah. So is that the goal going in? Is to go through those emotions and try and improve on that, and then when you come out, that will be you come up with a completely different epiphany.
Maybe
different way of life.
Maybe it'll be the same.
Yeah. What happened last time?
Well, last time was pretty difficult, and it's kind of a bit complicated because it was all tied up in my situation at the time, my relationship as well.
Yeah.
Which I was sort of on the way out of, and it didn't really change anything about what I thought or felt about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It came out of it exactly the same.
Right.
Going into it, but except after that, you're like, well, I just sat with it for 10 days, so at least I'm more sure of my decision. And my thinking. But what was I looking to get out of it? I don't know. Maybe I was looking for some kind of like amazing insight and everything, but it was a lot more difficult and ordinary and disappointing than that.
Do you need to come in with a goal, or do you think, or is
I
it
think
just
maybe not? Maybe it gets in the way.
That's a good point.
Go in just without really expecting anything, just allowing it to happen. The one thing that I do want to kind of get out of it is I do just want to be more level, less impulsive, less judgmental, more humble.
Yeah,
I could be more humble. I listened to myself on the first podcast, and I'm like, man, I just sound like a fucking know-it-all. I said to Sandra, my girlfriend, I'm like, do I sound like a bit of a know-it-all, like a bit of an arsehole? She's like, no, it's just how you always sound. And I'm like,
oh no,
great.
No, I think it was. When I showed it, people seemed to enjoy it and thought it was quite interesting, and it's good to have a
I think people enjoy me if they don't take me too seriously,
and obviously a varied type of sort of varied learning experience, and so you're into different things. You've read on different philosophies. You've done a few different things. So I think it all makes for an interesting person, rather than just being stationary and not following a passion or not doing a passion or not growing, not trying. Those are the you're only getting pretty stagnant if you don't do anything like that.
Yeah, thanks, man. And I think that growing and learning is just a big part of life, and once you stop doing that, you're just kind of all over it, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully I can be a bit more, aware of, myself and my surroundings and everybody else and how I impact things, and it should have a positive effect on everything, I'm hoping. Yeah.
And music, will that you going to do anything with the do you reckon the meditation, do you procrastinate at all?
That's a good point. I didn't really think about how it would impact the music, because at the moment I just really had not a great musical period. I just really haven't created very much in the last year or so, partly because of practical restraints, like not having a space to do it in.
Yeah, I find you need a good environment to be clear, distraction free. Otherwise, very hard to create.
Oh yeah, very hard with distractions. You need to get immersed in what you're doing.
Yeah,
when you're doing something like that, and it is hard with distractions. So that will be kind of a practical thing on the other side as well, like finding a better place to live, a bit more space. But I didn't really think about how it would affect the music. I'm hoping it will.
Yeah,
maybe now you mention it, boost my creativity a bit, or even if not, just my enjoyment of music and making music. Just enjoy the process again.
Yeah,
we're just doing it instead of so much being focused on having an end product. Really. Yeah.
I seem to create something for about a minute. I'm like, okay, I've made a minute of something. That's enough.
Yeah.
But I think it's certain. I guess it's the same thing. Trying to get an environment where it's a bit more comfortable and stress free, and get a new. Yes, I'm looking for a new place to set up with me and the dog to then create, and then have more time to meditate.
Yeah,
and just get a new routine going, and friends and so on. So yeah.
What do you what's your sort of understanding about meditation, and were you interested in it?
I sort of looked into it when I was in Sydney. Actually, it was yoga and meditation. Usually do the yoga and then 10 minutes after, whatever, Savasana, I think. But yes, I was in Sydney. I was probably, I don't know, 28, 20, something like that. And but it was quite expensive, and the people that were doing it, they were super limber. Like, they could put their sitting in their arms like down to the necks. I was like, I can't do that. And I think I went to a couple, but it just got so lost and had no idea what it was about. And it was a little bit different back then too. I wasn't different, but you don't have the same exposure of different modalities that you do now with YouTube and the phones, and heaps of different ideas. And
it's all pretty bewildering as well, because there's so many different schools of thought and techniques and things. And some of them have different beliefs, some of them have different goals, and some of them don't even know what they're doing. They're just a fad of some kind. Yeah. So it's all pretty confusing. But I guess if it's meditation is different from I think, maybe it's not for everybody, but I think it's different from a belief system, in the fact that it's just about you being aware of your own consciousness or your own
definitely
present moment. So in a certain sense, like, it doesn't really matter. You just start your own school. Start your own.
As long as you
school of thought.
I find
as long as it's working for you.
Yeah, and then if you can teach, I think it's like anything. You just have to keep doing it, and then you find your own version, your own technique, or your own way. And then all of a sudden, when you get better at it, and you spend the hours doing it, then obviously that can help, and then you'll find your own way.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think at the start, sort of, is this right for me? I'll try that one. I'll try that one. I'll do this and do that. And that's kind of what I did in Sydney. And then I got lost unsure on how it was going to impact me. I couldn't shut the thoughts down. But then that was actually part of it. It comes in waves sometimes, and then you've got clarity. Then your thought comes in. But then I started doing YouTube and yoga later, after I started surfing, I think. And then sporadically did yoga for like every day, and that kind of helped and got me. Then from yoga I did meditation, and then again that stopped. So it's sort of that sort of thing. But now I thought, well, and on occasion I'd get into a routine of doing it in the mornings. But it just depended where I was. Like relationships, I'd drive and go to their place, come back, and then you might be down there. Then you don't feel truly comfortable, and then you can't. it's hard to get that routine right. And then coming back home, and then so I think for me now it's to get a space, and then just have that good routine, and then go out and try meditation, but actually do the workshops and spend some time doing it and seeing what benefits come of it, and if I can then integrate it throughout the days and see if how measured I am and epiphanies I get, and
see what works for you.
Yeah.
So everybody's got a different way to do it. I reckon. I don't think there's just one.
No, I think you find one
size
that suits you.
Method. And like I was saying, I would probably never have got into meditation, or probably would have been very interested in it if it wasn't for psychedelics.
Yeah.
However, that's not true for everybody. I'd recommend some people not to do them.
Yeah.
And different methods, like Vipassana, I found being good for me might not be good for everybody.
Yeah.
Also, things that like flow activities, I think are good and important. Like doing something you enjoy, where you just get immersed in it and you stop thinking. Like if it's playing guitar, surfing, martial arts, dance, whatever it is. If you're doing something where you're no longer thinking and you're just in a flow state,
that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, running.
Yeah,
although running's pretty difficult. You always hear people running, and then they talk about they get into that meditative state. Yeah. I always noticed when I did go running, it was just like maybe never did huge Ks, maybe 4 to 8 or 10.
Yeah,
but some people can do like 50 Ks, 100 Ks, ultra marathoners.
Yeah, very mental.
And then they've got mental strength. I always think that must harness your mental strength hard.
Yeah,
after about 4 Ks, it feels like 100 Ks.
Yeah,
2 Ks, I'm like, I've done halfway, I'm good. But then but they seem to just get that flow at some point, and then they just sort of stay on it. Then afterwards, they're just beaming. It must be quite addictive after a while.
Yeah, I think they get a huge release of endorphins and stuff like that. But that they suffer for it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't
it's
have
not
that
easy on the body.
I don't have that kind of mental strength not in that sense. I definitely can't run. But yeah, I mean that takes a lot of mental strength doing that, and people do develop that sort of mental strength doing different things. I guess like martial arts and like the Shaolin monks. Have you ever seen those guys?
Oh yeah, their routines. It was funny you say that. I think I was 18. I was looking to go to China, and
those guys are incredible.
And I was like, how can I go over there and spend like 3 months just training with the monks and get out at 5 a.m.
Just Kill Bill style.
And, I just thought that'd be amazing, and then I really looked into it, but didn't pull the trigger. But I remember really, really looking into it, and I was like, I don't know how I could do that, pay the rent, pay this, and I didn't quite get the direction I needed to actually fulfill that. But that was a real big thing, because I did like Wing Chun and I was doing basketball at the same time, and we got quite into that, and then we're going, okay, this part of Wing Chun doesn't work, so then we go and look at Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and Mark Dacascos and a few of them, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal even. So so we just watch all that, and then me and my friends would muck around, and then we'll do our kicks and fun sparring, and then And then from that, I was like, kind of just before the UFC, I believe, before Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu changed the whole scheme of things. And then, so then I was looking to go over there and just do the acrobats and just see how it went. And then even in Sydney, I looked at a couple schools of Kung Fu, and it just didn't gel. I just did not. I felt it was more of like a dance. And when I went to think, okay, it looks cool, but how applicable is this in a real situation?
Yeah, at the end of it seems very ornate.
At the end of the day, I want it to kind of help me if I'm in a bad situation. And I remember, because it's quite expensive, and then I turn up and do some of the training, and the training was hard, especially the stretching and some of the movements. But then all of a sudden, it was just like, if you need to switch sides, it was, you can't do that until a different belt. I was like, well, that's like a year away or something. We get down the street and someone's just, how am I going to read it? And I was like, so I didn't really find the application, and that's when like Krav Maga And then I think there's a few schools integrating Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu into some of their striking. So, yeah, that's kind of like I had sort of like a thing about the acrobats and the Kung Fu and the Shaolin style. And
yeah, I remember.
But yeah, that was that. Yeah, I didn't get there, but it was definitely something I was really keen on for a while.
Good on you. I didn't even aspire to that. I remember seeing like a documentary about those Shaolin monks and their kung fu training.
Yeah.
And just like the endurance and the mental toughness they have. They're always training, always conditioning.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the moves aren't as practical as ones you get in like modern day MMA.
Yeah.
But they definitely have that.
I think
they definitely got that conditioning, and they're the real deal.
Oh yeah, then they're obviously Buddhism, and they do the meditation and the qigong. They can do some pretty incredible things with their bodies.
Oh yeah, you see them like breaking pieces of wood over their heads.
Yeah, and the little 4-year-old weapons on their heads, on these little handstands and cartwheels and forward flips.
They condition their heads with headbutts and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really. That's something I wish I got into when I was younger. No one got me into martial arts when I was younger, or maybe I just was kind of a bit resistant to it.
Did you have brothers at all?
Yeah, I had an older brother who's 15 months older, and we kind of had little biffs and stuff.
Yeah,
but
because we had I had 2 other brothers, older brothers, and we just biff.
It was not really the same as a real fight though. I never really reached that level of maybe sometimes.
We'd always wrestle or play rugby and wrestle, and it got me quite competitive actually. And then from there, they grew up super fast. Like they were 6 foot tall at 12, and I was like, hello, I'm still like 5 foot nothing. I haven't got to puberty yet.
I was always real skinny and small.
Yeah, same.
So I was always a bit resistant to. I never wanted to tussle because I always weighed like way less than everybody else, and it's a bit of a wimp, I guess.
Yeah.
More like play guitar and read books. I used to bodyboard and skateboard and stuff, but I wasn't very tough. I'm still not very tough. I'm not tough at all. Really. I'm pretty soft. But I'm glad I got into the kickboxing and we'll get into jiu-jitsu more. Because like you say, like those guys who run marathons and like the Shaolin monks and stuff, they've got this level of mental toughness I do not have, but this is just the first step in the right direction. It's like, if I can show up and work out hard for 45 minutes and apply myself and focus, it's better than not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly, going home and doing nothing really.
Yeah, so
not because you're not going to have the endorphins, you're not going to be clear to have more energy when you come home. And I think also the stress that will help the connections in the mind.
Yeah.
So
always feels so much better, stress busting after.
Because I think after work, like at 5 o'clock or 6, or the time finish, it's I find you've only got a small window of opportunity where your body and mind are saying, just don't go.
Yeah,
just stay at home. Just enjoy yourself.
Have a rest day.
You have another rest day. It's only Thursday, but you need another one. Do it next week. So that bloody voice, and he's saying, "Shut up." So now I keep, trying to say, "Just turn up. Just turn up. Just turn up."
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And even if it's rubbish or and
then when
your body adapts somehow.
Yeah.
It just goes, all right.
Man, my body's gone through a lot of changes because I was, 60 kilos. Now I'm like 80 something.
Yeah.
So, that's a big change, like in percentage of body mass.
Oh, for sure. That's a bit, yeah.
Yeah. And it sort of changed. I think it's been good for me as well because all I did was just lie around playing music and stuff before. So the first time I've got my body working and moving and mentally and physically, you just feel better for it, I think.
Yeah.
I do. I feel way better for it.
Yeah, I find it's just trying to get not to be so perfect anymore or get the perfect routine or worry too much about that. It's just trying to get for me now, it's like a balance. Like I'm going to try and just run once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Meditate once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Like on a proper workshop. And then when I learn that, then take it to like a daily routine. And then do resistance training probably twice a week, and then jiu-jitsu 3 times a week. And that's it. And then maybe a surf.
Mm-hmm.
And the fun activities after that.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Good life balance.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take the dog out, so he gets his endorphins in. And
yeah.
he's a happy boy.
Yeah, you got to get that exercise in. Hey, everyone used to tell me, now I really kind of know it from experience. I'm like, yeah, they were right.
Especially because, I sit down a lot. It's not like I'm on the farm or do anything super physical, and those sorts of things. When do you lift something heavy? You just don't.
Yeah.
Oh, this pen's pretty heavy now.
Yeah, and and also doing something that's difficult and just sort of. You find it easier because you're not resistant to the idea. You're like, okay, sweet, we're going to do a hard thing for an hour. It's okay.
Yeah.
And you're struggling, you're sweating, you're breathing hard, but you're just like, I'm okay with this. This is not bad. Like, whereas before I'd be like, oh my God, hard work for an hour.
Yeah. and you don't shy away from it.
Yeah, it makes it worse because mentally
you're
not just like, all right, let's just do this, That was a push-up motion.
That was nice. Thought you were rowing for a moment. Raven.
Yeah, that's been real good. And another thing is I with the meditation and with martial arts is that I just really like to smoke a lot of weed. And disclaimer if anyone.
Okay, yep. We're going to the marijuana section now. So we're 47 deep.
Yeah.
47 deep.
I had to come out. I had to be honest.
Okay, so from that, obviously, that whole situation, like marijuana situation, what a douche. I am with marijuana. Obviously, it's done a full 360. Like
it's
it
become
was so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do it. It's a gateway.
It's just crazy how socially stigmatized and villainized it was. Like if anyone was to look into the reason it was first banned in the United States, was for economic and racist reasons, basically.
And also, wasn't it the DuPont with the cotton fields? And
yeah,
they had a cotton or something.
And he had a guy who was a lobbyist for him, Anslinger.
Yeah.
And the reasons that it actually listed in court transcripts, the reasons they didn't want marijuana and they used the Mexican name because they sort of associated with Mexicans.
Yeah.
Was it made black men want to have, black jazz musicians want to have sex with white women. This is the legitimate reasons they come up with in court and things like this. And they come up with all this
crazy to think that was
propaganda. Yeah, in court, talked about like it's an actual legitimate concern. So yeah, it's one of the safest drugs in the world, but it can be abused. It's ridiculous that we drink tons of alcohol in Australia, and cannabis is sort of villainized. I think it's pretty ridiculous, but you can abuse it. And yeah, just disclaimer as well: I don't smoke before work. I smoke after at home. I don't smoke and drive, kids. I don't smoke and work.
But I guess,
Mitch.
I guess even with like everyone on how they react to it's going to be different. Psychosis and there's obviously an age-related thing to it too. As I've recently heard that you shouldn't touch it all until like mid to late 20s.
That's true.
And even then, I think the ones that tend to use it better, or it can use it in a certain way where they can function properly. From what I've seen, is that they're in their late 30s or 30s and onwards, or late 20s and onwards. But everyone's different. Like you could have a cake eating. You could just eat cake constantly. You can have. It's just every individual is going to react a certain way. It doesn't have to be for them. I don't really do it. Not really that interested, but it does open my eyes a little bit more to what I was I guess what I understood for a long time. But yeah, I find it interesting now, and even what other people get from it. So is it relaxing? It's a relaxing. I guess people get worried as it gives them bipolar or anxiety. It's just hard to pick.
There is a small, maybe like 20% of the population which is like just genetically they don't react well to it. You know, like you say, they can have psychotic episodes, and
yeah, that's really scary.
they can find it unpleasant, even, or it can trigger a psychological condition they have.
See, that's quite a fear, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, like most of them, like I've had a roommate who, you know, she had some of her dad's like brownies wigged out for what she was being abducted by aliens, man. Like she had a full on.
The brownies are, isn't it got more?
Nah.
But
it's just usually because there's an hour or 2 hour long onset that most people just don't really know how much they're taking, and they don't really know how much they've cooked into the butter and stuff. That's the reason.
Yeah.
So they have a tendency to double up.
I heard coffee kills it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apparently, if you have coffee, it will kill that problem.
Well, it kind of kills the it kind of counteracts the how you want to just sink into the couch. But yeah, like you're saying, there's different reasons people take it, and for me, it's not as if I'm just like trying to like it's not purely hedonistic, like I'm just trying to get a rush, you know, like for me, it just smooths me out, and it helps me to function.
Yeah,
like it smooths out the highs and the lows of you know, having up and down moods and things like that, and it gives me a bit more perspective. Like I'm more reflective. Even to the point sometimes to be paranoid of like, oh, why did I say that? That was the stupidest thing to say. They all think I'm an idiot, or you know, they think I mean something I didn't. But it's kind of good in a certain respect, sometimes in moderation. Yeah. But yeah, I can just be like, oh, this is just the answer to the problem right now, and instead of being, you know, implementing something, you know, some proactive action, you just think, oh, that's the solution. Whereas, so you know, like that's for me, like it's been a kind of a go-to for when shit's getting a bit hectic, just to settle down, chill out, get a bit more reflective, get a bit of perspective on things.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what always the function's kind of been. But it's you can abuse something, and you can overuse something and rely on something, and plus it's not cheap.
Yeah.
If you know you can't grow your own, which we should be able to do, but not real realistic right now. But yeah, I mean, like I don't smash it. I don't like smoke and go to work, and I don't.
Because it's definitely it's starting to change over in the States and Canada, I think.
And people, you know, it's being prescribed for different. It's being acknowledged to be a medicine in particular situations for particular people. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like you've got, I guess, the CBD oil. People having seizures. Anxiety. Then you got the THC versions, and take THC out.
There's a lot of different compounds in cannabis, but THC and CBD are sort of the main ones. And CBD just generally gives you the body stone feeling, like you're more relaxed, smooths out your nervous system, calms you down. THC on its own, like when it's not heated, it's not psychoactive, so it's actually just a nutrient, like a micronutrient. Yeah. Whereas when it's heat activated, whereas in brownies or when you smoke, gets you high, like a mental high. So they have learned to separate the two for different purposes for different people. Yeah. So yeah, I've always found it very useful, but there's also been times in my life where I've definitely overused it, and you start to you get diminishing returns. Like the benefits you get from it start to diminish over time, and then the negative sort of aspects or consequences tend to increase over time. So then you're like, oh, it's time for a break. Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it's always been like it's been a bit of a medicine. But it's also sort of been a bit of a crutch in a certain sense sometimes. So I want to sort of be more,
take ownership over it.
Yeah, exactly.
How and when use it as like a tool.
Yeah, like I would love to, just be able to. Yeah, they all like. I think a lot of drugs aren't bad at all. It's just how much you take and when you take it and for what reasons and in what environment and in what condition, like what conditions.
Yeah, because they're using it as an MDMA, I think recently for PTSD.
Assisted psychotherapy.
That's and that is incredible. The drugs are now being looked at as
as tools and medicines.
Potential.
Absolutely. And Stan Groff as well is a psychiatrist who's done a lot of LSD-assisted psychotherapy. And I mean, when I say, and you got to notice that it's MDMA-assisted psychotherapy, it's not just taking MDMA on its own.
Yeah.
You're doing it with a specific purpose and with a trained therapist who has...
yeah, exactly. That's
which is our culture's version of, you know...
Because I think there was I can't remember the journalist's name. I need something for my memory recall. But it was just interesting that there was this journalist. He spends primarily most of the time in war-torn countries doing it, and then he's obviously seen horrific things, and then the adrenaline he gets from being out there, then coming back, nothing comes near it. There's relationships, sex, nothing. Wish I knew his name. I need to bring it up.
That rings a bell. That story,
he struggled, and then he started working to move past it and to improve his life, or have a calmer life, I guess. But he ended up going back, I think. But he did MDMA with a trained therapist, and it wasn't like it was like going into a proper clinic, and a proper setting. And he said it helped him. So it was very interesting to go in that direction rather than, I guess, what they usually do. But it'd be interesting to see the future and how psychologists and psychiatrists how they deal with anxiety, how they deal with PTSD and depression, and instead of using the old formula. But I'd have to speak to someone properly about that.
There was a lot of really promising research, like when LSD and MDMA were first sort of discovered. Or first introduced to the scientific community, like before they became illegal. But then there was the whole sort of backlash from the whole counterculture, the hippie movement and everything. And then psychedelics were seen as, made you mad, things like that. And they were made legal, and all the research halted.
Yeah.
Which was sad and a shame, because they should be researched. There's a lot of potential there in a lot of areas. The fact that, and it's like you say, like in the aspect of practical psychology, it's been really useful. And in different cultures, we have different versions of that as well. Instead of having like a psychotherapist, doing CBT while you're on MDMA, in other cultures, it's like a shaman who's guiding you with a song while they administer a psychedelic plant or something.
Yeah.
So there's different versions in different cultures that have been working for a long time. We just need to figure out what is the what's working there, what's going on, what's the mechanism, what's the what can we take out of it, what can we improve on, instead of being dismissive of other cultures or equally naive and just accepting of all superstitions. We can have a look at why are they using these plants and why are they working and why they say they're sacred, I mean, if someone, like, why would someone think like a mushroom or, a vine or something is sacred? That's like a pretty big call. I mean, we're going to be interested in why they think that. Yeah. Like, I love beer. I don't say it's sacred or anything.
Some people might, though.
Yeah, almost. Some might, pretty close.
Yeah. So I guess what's the next? I guess coming back to the meditation, when do you actually go?
I think it's the 14th of August. I think
14th of August.
Yeah, last 2 weeks of August.
Yeah. So do you have to do anything specifically before you go? Or do you to help make it a bit easier, perhaps?
I'm not supposed to be drinking beers and smoking weed, so I should just stop doing that.
Yep. So the phone's no problem. It's just those two elements.
Oh, no, I need to work on my focus as well. I've got like 4 days off before I go, and I'm going to go. Me and the girlfriend have booked a camping site in Fingal.
Oh, cool.
So we're just going to go stay down there for a little bit. So I've got like 4 days or whatever. We'll be there for a week, but I'll have 4 days off of work just sitting on the beach. So hopefully I'll just sort of calm down, slow down a little bit and ease my way into it.
And how's your partner feel about the whole 10 days away, and is it?
She is not really. She didn't know anything about it, so she was like, "Well, what are you talking about? This doesn't
Like 10 days is a long
make
time,
sense."
isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we'll miss each other.
Oh, you will in those 10 days?
Sorry?
You will see each other in those 10 days?
No,
Oh, you won't?
we won't.
Okay.
So we'll miss each other. But
you
no,
miss each other,
she's never really been into it, so she didn't really understand at first. But she's I suppose supportive, but sort of like skeptical, as in we'll see. Like she's like, you're not gonna be a different person on the other side, and I'm like, yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah,
that's kind of got that reality check last time. It's just that this is a good step in the right direction, and
just mind training, really.
Yeah, it's setting me up for a better lifestyle on the other side, I'm hoping. So when I come out on the other side, I'll be continuing to meditate, continue to be moderate in areas of my life, and continue to be aware, I guess, and present, and hopefully more compassionate, and hopefully more in control of myself. And
Well, that sounds awesome. I guess that we'll come back and we'll have a chat and see how it all went down, and any epiphanies and things that you thought worked or didn't work, or and even motivate myself. Even I was thinking when you say you do the 10 days, I was like, could I do 10 days? But I was like, oh, where am I put my? Where's Oscar going to go?
Yeah, it is. It is a big chunk of time.
That's the thing. The weekends would be. I could probably work as too, because save up for that. But definitely something to look into, especially for a couple of days. But it'd be interesting to see what you come out of it, and let everybody know and go from there.
I'll be interested to see what happens as well.
Excellent. Well, best of luck, and I'll see you soon, matey. That was
thanks
awesome.
for taking me. Thanks for inviting me in and having this chat, and been really good, man. If
you want to catch up with Aaron on his social media, you can get him on, what's your Instagram? His Instagram, was it?
SoundCloud's probably the best one to get me on. SoundCloud.com/loud_zoo.
Yep.
It's probably the best one to get me on.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and check out Crema and Grind, and we'll see you soon. Excellent. Found it.
Thanks, Dolly, man. Thanks for letting me expand on